event. I don't know if we should wait for more persons to join before we start, or we should proceed. I need permission.
Maybe to wait like 6:10 for people to join. I can only see 15 people.
All right, sir.
Just to hang around to see if more people will join in before 6:10.
Okay, that would be nice, sir.
Okay, good evening, everyone.
All right.
So
So thank
we are starting the events right about now.
thank you very much, Felicia. All right. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Ocean Sustainability in the Blue Economy webinar. My name is Oyetunde Jide, and it's a great honor to welcome everyone, industry leaders, policymakers, advocates, and ocean ambassadors. Of course, as the
Of
theme for
course,
this
as a team
webinar
for this.
that ocean sustainability in the blue economy, we must understand that there is no blue economy without an healthy ocean, because this ocean, through the oceans, we have food, jobs, transportation, climate protection, and energy. But most often than not, pollution is a major disaster to our oceans. That is why we at Ocean Ambassadors, we believe in the solution of this. And what solution do we bring? Awareness. In the next minutes, we'll be looking at what the blue economy means for Nigeria and the world at large, practical ways by which we can sustain our oceans, and how well we can protect them. We hope that at the end of this conversation, at the end of this webinar, we are able to have some points to rally around for actions for us to sustain our ocean in the blue economy conversation. Thank you very much. You are welcome once again. Good evening.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Engineer Daring Adiomi. I majored in marine engineering. And before I introduce the host, I would like to say, as a beneficiary of her events and her work, especially the maritime competition, I'd like to say that she influenced a lot in my decision to join the marine economy at large. So before we go in further, I don't know if you can get the slide. Okay, so I'll just read and get this slide. Okay, so introducing our host. Let me get the slide. Oh. Introducing our host. Not the slide. It's not the slide. Okay. So I was saying that I've been a beneficiary of her work, and it is a privilege and an honor to introduce our convener of this event. She has put in so much work, and I am really happy to be I'm really happy to be a part of this event. So without further ado, I shall be introducing our host, Honorable Violet Williams. She is the principal partner of Val Ventures Limited, VDL, a maritime consultancy company specializing in the fifth party agency logistics, chandling, and shipping agency services. She previously served as a board member of the Nigerian Shippers Council, contributing significantly to maritime policy and industry development. She holds a bachelor degree in developmental history from the University of Lagos, UNILAG, and is a fellow of the Chartered Institute of Shipping, CSC. She also obtained a diploma in advanced freight forwarding and supply chain management from the University of Lagos and is a certified member of the Institute of Shipping. Honorable Williams began her professional career as the banking sector as a treasury officer at Merchants Bank of Africa, located at Nicholas Building, Lagos. She later joined Assurance Mortgage Financial Limited, Ikoyi, where she rose through the ranks to become treasury and operations manager. Following the collapse, where she rose to the ranks to become treasury and operations manager. Following the collapse of mortgage banking in 1990s, she established Val Ventures Limited, initially specializing in banking intermediation services. Nearly 2 decades ago, she transitioned into the maritime industry, where she has made remarkable contributions, particularly in advancing girl-child inclusion within the establishment of an NGO, Ocean's Ambassadors Foundation, focusing on a catch them young, bottoms-up, grassroots initiative approach aimed at bridging workforce gaps in the maritime industry. Through our initiative, many young girls have pursued careers in maritime-related fields, including maritime law, marine engineering, nautical science, with sponsorship support from NIMASA, computer science, and marine insurance, supported by NPA. Her commitment to empowering girls in coastal community inspired her collaboration with the Bank of Industry to establish an aquaculture fish cage project in Epe, where girls are trained in fish farming and aquaculture techniques. At the maritime policy level, Honorable Williams convenes an annual seminar titled The Renaissance of Betty in the Blue Economy, which attracts policymakers, academics, and marine industry veterans to discuss strategic advancements in the sector. She is also an accomplished author with 3 published books to her credit. All those 3 which I have read, and I advise that we also get them to buy. Please join me as I warmly welcome our honorable host, Honorable Violet Williams, founder of Val Ventures, president of Ocean Ambassadors Foundation. Thank you.
Good evening, everybody. The great veterans of the industry, the academia. Hello? Hello?
Hear you. We can hear you, Honorable. Go ahead.
Okay. Thank you. Once again, good evening, everybody. I welcome everybody to this platform. This program is actually from the Ocean Ambassadors Foundation mentees. They are graduates, and they believe that they need to plow back to the system that gave them the opportunity. So today, our topic is ocean sustainability in the blue economy. Now, the ocean affects us, and we affect the ocean. And the lifespan of any human being depends on the ocean. Unfortunately, Nigeria has the Atlantic to her advantage, with 28 states of the coastal states also as inland waterways, for us to make not only survival, but economic empowerment and enrichment to the nation. The ocean is no longer a distant frontier. It is an immediate economic, environmental, and security priority. Within the framework of the ocean economy, the ocean sustainability is key, is the foundation upon which long-term prosperity depends on. We can now talk about the rise in our GDP because we're still dredging. Oil is depleting. In particular, for coastal states like Lagos and other coastal states in Nigeria, inland water ecosystems directly influences livelihoods, trade, climate resilience, and of course, the national development. Exploring innovation in this space requires a shift from extractive practices to regenerative systems, emerging technologies. Now, when you go to coastal communities, we see how there is every need for innovation to take over the traditional practices, the native intelligence, but not to erode it, but to implement and make it sustainable, not only for the coastal communities, but the global fishing communities at large. Now, today, we'll be listening to the veterans who will be talking to us. Of course, we have the challenges of the oceans, like the IUU, which is a great problem in Africa, especially in Nigeria. Another problem is we don't even have data. But in one of the town hall meetings, the Honorable Minister for Marine and Blue Economy, he mentioned something about coastal inclusivity. He mentioned something about collecting data. And in fact, there was a community that went to visit him some 2 months ago, and he assured the coastal communities of inclusivity. And today, we want to hear from our guest speaker the challenges, the opportunities, and the way forward before 2030. Another untapped opportunity is the coastal tourism. Not everybody will be a seafarer, but the coastal community, they serve as opportunities, untapped opportunities for exploitation and, of course, economic growth. The capacity building is very key if we are to get involved in the international global practices and to compete favorably with our peers in the water terrain. Without much ado, I want to stop here whilst we listen to the presentations. Thank you, and do have a lovely evening with us.
Okay, good evening, everyone. Thank you very much, Honorable Ma, for that insightful and beautiful opening remark, and for the opportunity to moderate this segment. My name is Felicia Ibikabore James. I'm an environmental scientist, SDG advocate, public health data analyst, founder and president of EcoLinks Network, project admin, Ocean Ambassadors Foundation. It's a pleasure to welcome you all to this session once again. So before we proceed, I would like to quickly go through a few housekeeping notes to ensure a smooth and engaging experience for everyone. Kindly ensure that all microphones remain muted throughout the section to avoid background noise. If you have any questions during the section, please drop it in the Q&A section. All questions will be addressed during the designated Q&A segment. We encourage everyone to stay attentive and engaged as we go through this section. Also, the attendance form will be shared in the chat box. Do well to fill it out to confirm your participation. Thank you all for your cooperation. Without further ado, we'll now proceed to the main section. It's my pleasure to introduce our moderator for this section. Our moderator brings a wealth of experience and insights. Give me a minute. Let me share my screen.
Hello, Felicia James. Hello, Felicia James.
Yes.
Please,
I
can
can
this
hear
yes, good evening. Can this Zoom meeting be recorded?
the Zoom meeting is being recorded, so.
Okay. Thank you so much.
So it's my pleasure to introduce our moderator for today's session. Our moderator brings a wealth of experience and insights. Mrs. Vivian Chimeze Azubike is the
Okay.
Director General of the Nigerian Chamber of Shipping. Sorry, can anyone hear me?
Yes.
Yes, we can hear
Okay,
you.
Mrs.
Felicia
Vivian.
James.
All right. Mrs. Vivian Chimeze Azubike is the Director General of the Nigerian Chamber of Shipping, a dynamic leader and accomplished professional with a rich background in maritime logistics and policy development. As the Director General of the Nigerian Chamber of Shipping, she champions initiatives to enhance Nigerians' maritime chat series, known for her strategic vision and collaborative known for her strategic vision and her collaborative approach. Mrs. Vivian runs partnership between stakeholders, advances capacity building, regulatory reforms, her dedication to promoting maritime education, regional trade, and environmental sustainability has solidified her reputation as a transformative figure in the sector. Mrs. Vivian's leadership continues to position Nigeria as a key player in the global shipping ecosystem. She's an energy efficiency efficiency enthusiast and currently serves on the board of a few startups. So join me as we make welcome our moderator for this section, Mrs. Vivian Chimeze Azubike. Please a round of applause as we welcome our moderator. Thank you very much, Ma, for making yourself available. Over to you, Ma.
Thank you very much, Felicia, and well done. I have the privilege and honor of moderating this webinar, and I want to thank the host. I call her the Betty Queen, and the sustainability expert, Honorable Olaito Williams. I want to thank you very much for our partnership over the years and also with the Nigerian Chamber of Shipping. Without further ado, I'll just go straight, to once again welcome all the speakers also, and there's the guest speaker and the panelists, and also the students who are also here. And then of course, I'm sure we have some other experts on this call. I also want to identify a member of the Council of the Nigerian Chamber of Shipping, Mr. Former Wabo, who's also on this call. without further ado, I just go straight to welcome everyone. Good evening, distinguished guests, speakers, and participants. It is my pleasure to welcome you to this very important conversation on ocean sustainability in the blue economy, exploring innovation, maritime sustainability, and policy pathways for healthy oceans. Globally, the ocean is central to life and livelihoods. But here in Nigeria, the blue economy is not just a concept, it's also a strategic imperative. So with over 850 kilometers of coastline along the Atlantic, vast inland waterways, and a maritime sector that serves as a gateway to West and Central Africa, Nigeria is uniquely positioned to harness the opportunities of the blue economy. Our ports, such as Lagos Port and Tinkan Island ports, and of course the Lekki port, are critical hubs for trade. Our fisheries sector supports millions of livelihoods and coastal and marine ecosystems, both immense yet still underutilized economic and ecological values. Yet, this potential comes with serious challenges. Marine pollution, coastal erosion, illegal and unreported and unregulated fishing, and the growing impacts of climate change continue to threaten both our ocean health and economic stability. If these are not addressed, they could risk and undermine the very foundation of Nigeria's maritime prosperity. But there is also a reason for optimism. Nigeria is increasingly recognizing the importance of building a sustainable and inclusive blue economy, one that leverages innovation, strengthens maritime governance, and aligns economic ambition with environmental stewardship. From investments in cleaner port operations, digital shipping systems, to emerging conversations around marine conservation and sustainable fisheries, to tourism and the building blocks of transformation are already taking shape. Today's webinar sits at the heart of that transformation. We'll explore how innovation can unlock opportunities in Nigeria's marine and maritime sectors. We will also examine how sustainability can be embedded into our shipping, fisheries, coastal development, and tourism. And importantly, we will discuss policy pathways and needs to ensure that the Nigeria's blue economy grows in a way that is resilient, inclusive, and environmentally sound. This is not just a global agenda, it's a national priority. The choices we make today will determine whether Nigeria's ocean remains a source of prosperity or becomes a story of missed opportunity. And I know that would not be our case. So I encourage all of us to engage deeply, share insights, and think boldly about what our sustainable economy can look like for Nigeria and beyond. And with that, I am delighted to once again welcome our distinguished speakers who will guide us through the critical and timely discussions. Thank you and welcome. So without further ado, I'll just go straight to introduce our guest speaker for tonight's conversation. The guest speaker for tonight's conversation is an expert in ocean governance and sustainability, and also a marine biologist. And we have the privilege and honor of having Mr. Akonbi Bankole Williams, who is a seasoned marine biologist specializing in marine fisheries and benthic ecology. He has accumulated more than 30 years of professional experience focusing on marine fisheries management, ocean governance, and marine environmental sustainability. His extensive background in these areas highlights his commitment to advancing sustainable practices and the responsible stewardship of marine resources. He is currently the director of the International Ocean Institute, Nigeria Center, and Chief Research Officer at the Nigerian Institute of Oceanography and Marine Resources, NEOMAR, Lagos. Throughout his career, Mr. Williams has led and participated in numerous scientific expeditions and field-based research initiatives across the Gulf of Guinea and the Guinea current large marine ecosystem. His work has significantly contributed to advancing knowledge in marine biodiversity and conservation, fisheries resources management, and ecosystem-based approaches to ocean governance. A recognized advocate for sustainable ocean development, he has actively been involved, in capacity building, policy advisory, and ocean literacy programs aimed at strengthening international frameworks and promoting responsible use of marine resources in Nigeria and the wider West African sub-region. His expertise spans marine spatial planning, fisheries governance, blue economy development, and international ocean policy processes. Mr. Williams has also played a key role in bridging science and policy by contributing to national and regional dialogues on sustainable fisheries, including issues relating to fisheries subsidies, maritime development, and environmental stewardship. Through his leadership at IOI Nigeria, he continues to mentor emerging ocean professionals and champion innovative solutions for achieving a resilient and sustainable blue economy. Ladies and gentlemen, please let's yield the mic to Mr. Akombi Williams. You may take the mic now, sir. Pleasure to have you here once again. Thank you.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. It is with great delight that I'm here to make a presentation on ocean governance and sustainable blue economy. Let me quickly share my slide. Can you see my slide, please? Can you see my slide, please?
Yes, I
Hello?
can.
Okay. Okay. So it is with great delight that I'm here to make a presentation on strengthening ocean governance for a sustainable blue economy in Nigeria. I would like to thank the founder and president of Ocean Ambassador, who is my big sister. We connected immediately we met, and she has been a wonderful woman that I know of in every respect. I want to appreciate the facilitators, the program manager, and ladies and gentlemen, every respected individuals in the maritime sector, and enthusiasts that are interested in the matter relating to the ocean, particularly sustainable blue economy. I am Akombi William. I'm the director of the Nigeria Center based in Victoria Island, inside Nigerian Institute for Oceanography and Marine Research. And I also bring you good tidings and greetings from my IOI headquarters in Malta, under the leadership of Antonella Vassallo. Vassallo is the general manager. And also greetings from my host institution, Professor Abiodun Sule and his management, for hosting us and allowing us to operate well. So let me go straight into my presentation. Here I'm going to define what ocean governance is, and I'm going to define what ocean governance is and blue economy. We're going to discuss the structures and how they relate to Nigeria, the challenges of ocean governance for the development of our blue economy, and then the Nigeria effort to strengthen ocean governance structure for sustainable blue economy. Ocean governance refers to the system of rules, institutions, policies, processes that guide how ocean and coastal resources are managed and used. It includes the legal framework, administrative structures, decision-making mechanism that ensure that marine resources are utilized sustainably, fairly, and efficiently. Ocean governance operates across different levels, from local communities to national government and international bodies. Ocean governance is about coordination and balance. It seeks to manage competing uses of the ocean, such as fishing, shipping, oil exploration, conservation while protecting the marine environment for future generations. Effective governance depends on strong institutions, clear laws, and consistent enforcement. Blue economy, on the other hand, refers to the sustainable use of the ocean and coastal resources for economic growth, improved livelihood, and environmental sustainability. It expands beyond traditional sectors like fisheries and maritime transport to include emerging areas such as marine renewable energy, ocean tourism, seabed mining, and marine biotechnology. What distinguishes the blue economy from the earlier approaches, that's ocean, the economy of the ocean, is its emphasis on sustainability and inclusiveness. It recognizes that economic development must not come at the expense of the environmental health. Instead, it promotes a model where economic activities support ecosystem resilience and benefit all, including local communities. So in simple terms, ocean governance provides the framework, while the blue economy presents the outcome of managing ocean resources responsibly within that framework. In another word, blue economy is about what are the economic resources that are there, while governance is about how those resources will be managed. I quickly brought this map. This is to show our maritime area. This is now the most important factor that is area that support Nigeria, which is the Guinea Coral Land Marine Ecosystem. It's an ecosystem that is almost similar but different from the northern part, which is the Canary Current, while below here is the Benguela Current around Angola. Now, within the Guinea Land Marine Ecosystem, we have the Gulf of Guinea. Sometimes we interchange this, but in real terms, Gulf of Guinea is just between Cape Palmas and Cape Lopez in Gabon. This is a border between Liberia and Cote d'Ivoire. So when we are describing Gulf of Guinea, it is within the large marine ecosystem. Now, these are the Gulf of Guinea large marine ecosystem countries with the extension of their exclusive economic zones from Guinea-Bissau down to Angola. Now let's zone it down to Nigeria. This is just to give us a complete overview of our maritime areas. From the coastline, which is 853 kilometers long, to the end of this line, which is the 200 nautical mile of exclusive economic zone. Within that, we have the territorial waters, which is 12 nautical miles. We have the contiguous zone, which is 24 nautical miles. And then you have the EEZ. For clarity, EEZ from the coastline to the extreme of 200 nautical miles is our EEZ. And that is bestowed on every country that has a contact with the ocean. And I think from the previous map, you could see other countries' EEZ that are also extending out into the sea. Fortunately, Nigeria, as at the time the UNCLOS was ratified, Nigeria laid claim to 200 nautical miles, but we just had an extended shelf, continental shelf of 20 nautical miles. So as of this moment, Nigeria has a 220 nautical mile exclusive economic zone. Every country, as I mentioned, has a right to lay claim to 200 nautical miles. This is a country called Sao Tome and Principe underneath Nigeria, and they also have a right to lay claim to 200 nautical miles. The area of overlap, this area we are seeing here, is the Nigeria. Was created as Nigeria, Sao Tome, and Principe Joint Development Zone managed by an authority. Instead of us fighting over this area, we decided to collaborate and cooperate in order to explore and exploit the resources. And if you have been hearing area beyond national jurisdiction, before they say it's a no man's land, that is area beyond our EEZ of countries. This is our ABNJ, but now it is no more a no man's land. It is now everybody's land according to the new treaty. I'll mention that later. Now, what are the governance structure and their relevance to Nigeria? Ocean governance, as I mentioned, is built on multiple interconnected structures that operate at different levels. These structures can be grouped into international, regional, and local systems. So at the global level, you have the Constitution of the Ocean called UNCLOS. That's the United Nations Convention on Law of the Sea, which was agreed in 1982, and I think came into force in 1994. As I mentioned, is the Constitution of the Ocean that gave every country rights up to certain limit that we can explore, exploit, and protect. Nigeria is a party, and we are fully utilizing it. Coming out of the UNCLOS, we have the UN Fish Stock Agreement, which is to manage fishes that can transcend between continents or exclusive economic zone, or that are within the area beyond national jurisdiction that is outside the control of any country. So, but Nigeria is a party through ICA, that's International Commission for International Conservation for the, sorry, I will remember, International Commission for Conservation of Atlantic Tuna. Then you have the International Seabed Authority that manage, that's a mistake, that manage every resources, including the mine products that can be obtained from the sea, like the manganese nodules and some other cobalt that they use in technology. Then you have the Biodiversity Beyond National Jurisdiction Agreement, or the High Sea Treaty, which has just come into force this January 17th, and Nigeria is we have signed, but the process is ongoing to ratify it. Then we have, under biodiversity and environmental protection, we have the Convention on Biological Diversity. We have the Convention on International Trade in Endangered Species, that's CITES. We have the Ramsar Convention. We have the Marine Pollution Control. Under Marine Pollution Control, you have the International Convention for the Prevention of Pollution from Ships. We have the London Convention. We have the Basel Convention. Under climate change and ocean, we have the United Nations Framework on Climate Change. We have the Paris Agreement. We have the, for fishery governance, we have the FAO Code of Conduct for Responsible Fisheries. And it's not a legally binding document or instrument, but it is applied in policy, and many countries, including Nigeria, have abided with the policies that it stated. You have the Post-State Measure Agreement, which is to combat illegal IUU. Nigeria have signed, ratified, and the implementation is evolving. Recently, to Nigeria is on that. We also participated and also supported in batting the WTO, that is World Trade Organization Fisheries Subsidies Agreement, and this is to eliminate harmful fishery subsidies. Under maritime safety, you have the International Convention for the Safety of Life at Sea, SOLAS, and then it's for maritime safety standard. We have International Ship and Port Facility Security Code. At regional level, which is Africa and Gulf of Guinea, we have some instruments. At Africa level, we have a AU Integrated Marine Strategy of 2050. You have the Abidjan Convention, which is on marine pollution and coastal environment protection. You have, for fisheries, you have the Fishery Committee for the West Central Gulf of Guinea, FCWC, which is for fish cooperation. And then you have the Guinea Current Large Marine Ecosystem, and I think I showed in the map, which is about ecosystem-based management. At national level, these are domestic laws and policies implementing the above framework. For core maritime and ocean law, we have the Territorial Waters Act, we have the Exclusive Economic Zone Act, we have the Sea Fisheries Act, we have Nigeria Maritime Administration and Safety Agency Act. For environmental and pollution, we have the National Environmental Standard Regulation and Enforcement Agency Act. We have the Oil Spill NOSDA Act. We have the EIA Act. I have the PIA, that's Petroleum Industry Act. For blue economy and policy instruments, we now have a national blue economy policy, which is an emerging framework. You have the National Biodiversity Strategy Action Plan, and then you have the fishery policy, which is under review. For institutional coordination structures, you have the Ministry of Marine and Blue Economy, which is now aggregating or coordinating activities of agencies and organizations that were fragmented before, and it is a very emerging ministry, and it is very important to what we are discussing here. And then there are a lot of interagency committees which are ad hoc, and then the coordination is across sectors. Please note that this list is not exhaustive, and there are many other instruments that are laws and instruments that applies. And if you look at the major blue economy sectors in Nigeria, according to the blue economy policy, you have the fishery and aquaculture, you have maritime transport and shipping, you have offshore oil and gas, coastal marine and tourism, marine and biotechnology, marine biotechnology and bioprospecting. You have seabed mining and marine minerals, marine renewable energy, marine conservation and environmental management, and maritime security and safety. Then you have the shipbuilding, repair, and marine services. As I mentioned, there are some instruments that may not really apply to the ocean governance, that is the ocean itself, but which we have that can apply, and that we can apply. I think one is access-based sharing for marine biotechnology and bioprospecting. So there are so many other ones. If it's not part of what I've listed, we can still discuss it if during the discussion session. Now, challenges of ocean governance, the development of the blue economy in Nigeria. So despite this governance structure, Nigeria was facing several challenges that were hindering the effective development of sustainable economy. One major issue is institutional fragmentation, where multiple agencies operate independently with overlapping mandates, leading to duplication of effort and inefficiencies. This lack of coordination weakens policy implementation and reduces overall effectiveness. Many of the legal framework were outdated, which includes some maritime and fishery laws, where they do not reflect current realities such as climate change, technological advancement, and emerging economic activities. This creates regulatory gap and limits enforcement capability. Environmental degradation is also a serious concern. Oil spill, plastic waste, industrial pollution have affected marine ecosystem, particularly in the Niger Delta. And these environmental issues is reducing fish stock and threatening biodiversity, and also directly impacting livelihood. IUU has been mentioned by Madam, and it's a major issue where the amount of the fishery resources being taken at both artisanal and industrial sector level are not well known, leading to economic losses and the depletion of marine resources, which affect our food security, and we lose a lot of money as a result. Maritime insecurity is also an issue which includes piracy, sea robbery, and further complicate governance. Although there have been much improvement, maritime and general insecurity still discourages investment and increase operational risk in the maritime sector. Weak enforcement of policy is another key challenge. Even when laws exist, they are not consistently applied due to limited resources, inadequate training, and sometimes corruption. Infrastructure deficit also hinder progress. Many ports lack modern facilities, and there is limited use of digital technology for monitoring and management. There is low level of data acquisition for information and knowledge of the marine environment, which will have been better for proper policies and management. Finally, the exclusion of local communities from governance process creates social and economic challenges. Without community involvement, policies are less effective and compliance will be very low. Now, what is Nigeria's effort to strengthen ocean governance structures for a sustainable blue economy? Nigeria has recognized the importance of strengthening ocean governance and has taken several steps to improve its system and promote a sustainable blue economy. One of the most significant developments is the establishment of the Federal Ministry of Marine and Blue Economy, which provides coordinated approach to manage marine resources and developing the blue economy. It aims to align policies across sectors and reduce fragmentation. Nigeria has also introduced the Deep Blue project to enhance maritime security, which is an initiative that includes deployment of surveillance system, patrol vessels, and aircraft to combat piracy and maritime crimes. This project has contributed to the reduction in piracy incidents in the Gulf of Guinea. I think, to the best of my knowledge, in the last 4 to 5 years, we have had almost nothing as a result, from sea piracy or militancy within the Gulf of within Nigerian space for some time now. So, in terms of policy development, Nigeria has launched a national policy on marine and blue economy, which provides a comprehensive framework for sustainable development across sectors such as fisheries, shipping, tourism, and renewable energy. Effort has also been made to improve port structures. I think with the visit of the president to UK, we've gotten some funds to actually upgrade our port system, and which is to modernize and then to enhance efficiency and reduce congestion. These improvements are essential for supporting maritime trade and economic growth. Nigeria is also strengthening regional cooperation through organizations such as joint initiative with neighboring countries to help address shared challenges such as illegal fishing and maritime security. In terms of environmental protection, we are improving. There are increasing initiatives to address oil spill, reduce plastic pollution, and promote sustainable practices. Awareness and policy attention is actually growing well. In terms of capacity building, this is another area of focus. We are training program and partnership with international organizations are helping to improve technical expertise in maritime administration, fisheries management, and environmental protection. There is the need for investment in research and information gathering for decision and support system. I think this is an area that is also improving, but more and more effort. I think Honorable Williams also mentioned it, because we need the data or the information to actually make informed decision. There is a growing emphasis also on involving the private sector through public-private partnership, which is to encourage and attract investment in areas such as port development, shipping, and marine services. While these efforts represent important progress, their successes on depends on effective implementation, sustained funding, and strong political commitment. So, in conclusion, the ocean offers strong potential for economic growth, environmental sustainability, and social development. For Nigeria, with its long coastline, the vast EEZ, and rich marine resources, it makes our blue economy an important part toward diversifying the economy and achieving long-term prosperity. This potential can only be realized through effective ocean governance. This means having well-coordinated institutions, updated laws, and strong enforcement systems, because without this, the benefit of the blue economy will remain limited. Nigeria has taken meaningful steps to improve its governance framework, which include creating a dedicated ministry for marine and blue economy affairs, investing in marine security, and developing national policies to guide sustainable ocean use. Despite this progress, some challenges such as coordination, environmental damage, and limited community involvement still exist. So addressing this require a more inclusive and coordinated approach to ensure that Nigeria fully benefits from a sustainable blue economy. Thank you for listening.
Thank you, Mr. Williams. That was fantastic and actually right on time. I was going to remind you of your timing, but you beat me to it. Thank you very much. Thank you for taking us through the history of conventions and policies that has brought us to the blue economy today, the challenges of the ocean governance to the development of the blue economy in Nigeria, and for also identifying some of the things that we can do to improve on blue economy and ocean governance. You mentioned that currently we are modernizing some projects, we are strengthening regional corporations. There's a need for research and information gathering, very important. I think that's one of the things that have been spoken in rooms, that we lack data in Nigeria. So data collection is important, and the management of same for futuristic planning and projection is very important. And you also mentioned the potentials for economic growth and environmental sustainability for social development. Once again, ladies and gentlemen, let us appreciate and applaud Mr. Williams for that very insightful presentation. Thank you very much, sir. So without further ado, I would like to introduce the next person on the call, who is one of our panelists. I don't know if Mr. Ubong has joined the call. Mr. Ubong, if you're here, please identify yourself. Mr. Ubong Essien.
Yes, I am
Are you on
here.
the call?
I'm
Fantastic. Okay, that's great. It's good to have you. Welcome and good evening. Mr. Ubong Essien is the next to speak. He is the founder. Mr. Ubong Essien CSP is the founder of Blue Economy Academy and Blue Economy TV. He is a multidisciplinary strategist, renowned as Nigeria's first certified speaker professional and an accredited registered practitioner in advertising, ARPA, with the Advertising Regulatory Council of Nigeria, ARCON. He is a leading authority on public speaking and a prominent advocate for Nigeria's maritime future. As the founder of the Blue Economy Academy and the convener of Code Blue, Mr. Essien works at the forefront of maritime advocacy, championing the sustainable utilization of Nigeria's vast marine resources. His commitment to the sector is further amplified through Blue Economy TV, a dedicated media platform, beg your pardon, he launched to mainstream the discourse on the ocean economy. His deep institutional expertise was cemented during his tenure as a special advisor on strategy and communications to the Director General of the Nigerian Maritime Administration and Safety Agency from 2020 to 2023. In his role, he was pivotal in shaping the agency's communication framework and its engagement with the blue economy. A pioneer in motivational media, Mr. Essien is the founder of the Achievement Channel, through which he has inspired thousands across the continent. He also serves as the Dean of the School of Eloquence, a premier public speaking training institution founded in 2006 to bridge the communication gap in corporate and public leadership. Ladies and gentlemen, once again, let's welcome Mr. Ubong Essien. Mr. Ubong, you have 15 minutes, please, for your presentation. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. I would love you to give me permission to be able to share my slides from here. In that way, I can actually manage the flow of my delivery. So if you don't mind, I'd appreciate it if you can actually. Yes.
All right. Okay, Mr. Ubong. Admin, please. Thank you.
All right, let's see. Do I have? Okay. Okay. Just 1 second. This is it. Mm.
Okay, Mr. Ubon.
Yes, just a second. I'm just trying to
Can you
bring it up from my
confirm
own.
if you have received sharing rights, please?
Yes, I have.
Great. So let's have
Okay, I think I've been able to share now. Okay. I hope my
I think
slides
it's
are visible.
not yet.
Not yet.
Yes, just give it a few minutes or seconds. Okay, now we can see it. We can see
Okay.
your slide. Oh, no. Please try and share it again and then give us a few seconds. I'm sure it will
Okay.
come up. Yes.
Okay, are we good now?
Yes, we are. Thank you.
Okay.
From
So let me
blindness to
start first and foremost by commending the work that the Ocean Ambassadors is doing in this space. I've learned that you can never have too many stakeholders, too many participants, too many contributors when it comes to the ocean space. And that was one of the key things I took away from my time back in the Masa. So we all must get involved, whether we are core maritimers or just professionals in other spheres. All of us must make our way towards the sea, because as a nation, given advantages as a nation, given what is often referred to as a comparative advantage, as a coastal state, all must get involved. And so my conversation today, I will make it very brief, very quick, is how do we go from sea blindness to ocean wealth, but centered around the theme or the topic that I was given, which is innovation and education as Nigeria's blue economy advantage. We have effectively entered the era of the blue economy conversation in Nigeria. The government has risen to the challenge. We now have a ministry. There are conversations everywhere. And these days we hear more blue economy than just maritime. And it's instructive because in the final analysis, the maritime sector itself is a sector within the entire blue economy ecosystem, albeit perhaps the most major, most significant of all the various sectors. And so, as we look at ourselves as a coastal nation, we are not yet a true powerhouse as far as harnessing our maritime assets is concerned. We've spoken about this frequently, consistently. We have all it takes. We have the waters, and we have a host of other factors that can enable us to truly become wealthy. But we are not yet there. We are not yet wealthy from our waters. And so for us at the Blue Economy, the basis for our own existence is summarized in our vision, as captured in the 3 words, prosper by water. We envision a nation that ought to be prospering by its waters, and we are committed to contributing as partners with other players towards ensuring that this is realized. And so it's a reflection or a positioning statement for where Nigeria should be in terms of our future. Now, what is the major problem when it comes to maritime and now blue economy? I believe very strongly that our biggest obstacle is sea blindness. And very often we assume or think that when we talk about sea blindness, we are essentially referring to those who live along the coast or those who live in the riverine areas. Far from it. There is sea blindness at every level. At the policy level, there is sea blindness. Because sea blindness is that willful disposition to look away from what it will require to harness all of the wealth within our waters and pivot attention to easier sources of revenue, easier sources of income, and much more convenient opportunities to make money for the nation. That is what sea blindness is. And it can be found, most of it, at the highest possible policy levels. Believe you me when I say to you that a lot of our legislators that should make laws for us are sea blind. A lot of our policymakers, even within the space we operate in, are also sea blind. One of the interesting things that I observed during my time in service was that a lot of people who had one or two things to do with NIMASA focused more on the agency rather than using their own resources, their own connections, their own assets to expand the possibilities within the ocean space. The focus was always about NIMASA. Just talk about the maritime sector, talk about the ocean in general. I can assure you the first set of attention will go to NIMASA, MPA, and maybe one or two other agencies in that space. And most times it is driven by the potential revenue capacity, the monetary dimensions to how these agencies operate, not necessarily as vehicles to expand the landscape for participation. That is also sea blindness. Because if you're not sea blind, you're going to find a way to get involved directly, creatively, if necessary. And so this is our biggest problem. It's not the lack of opportunity. It's the inability to see the ocean as an economic system. The ocean is an asset. Our rivers, our lakes, they are assets. Now, do we see them as such? That is one of the key things that we must address. And that's why in my presentation, if time permits me to go through towards the end, you'll find that I emphasize on the importance of awareness, ocean literacy. People see water as scenery, not as infrastructure. Policymakers see sectors, not systems. Because if we see systems, we will understand how other professions that might not be core maritime connect effectively towards our oceans and how they can be brought in to play their roles to help us maximize the benefits associated with our waters and with our oceans. And we cannot build wealth from what we do not understand. So, mentally, a lot of our professionals are operating inland. We need to expand our disposition in order to fully appreciate what we already have as a coastal state. The ocean is not a backdrop. The ocean is an asset. And so as we talk about innovating and educating ourselves with regards to sustainability as regards the blue economy, let us understand that the ocean is actually an asset. And we are fortunate to have 853 kilometers of that asset. Let us begin to see our ocean as infrastructure. It's an asset because it guarantees our supply chain. It's an asset because it creates food systems. I heard part of the last presenter's reference to fisheries and all of that. That's part of the food system you're talking about. It's an asset because it's a climate regulator. Think about it this way. I was reflecting this morning and I said to my wife, I said, look, do you know that the ocean is our collective coolant? That if we did not have the ocean, it would be very difficult, if not impossible, to live comfortably on land. Because all of the weather systems that we deal with, that we grapple with, always either originate or resolve themselves within our oceans, all of them. So the ocean is an asset in that regard. It feeds us. It's an asset. Our energy base comes from the ocean. In fact, most of the crude we export is offshore. It's from the ocean. So the thinking has to change from how we see the ocean. Talk to the typical person. How do they see the waters, especially those of us who live in Lagos or who live in coastal areas? Whenever we see a refuse pile somewhere, most of our mind goes into how can we dump this in the most easiest place to dump things, the waters. Now, you don't do that. You don't think that way regarding an asset. Rather, you consider how to protect it, how to nurture it so that it continues to give you value. That thinking there, that stereotype there is part and parcel of the problem. And of course, at the root of it is sea blindness, where we have failed to see our ocean as an asset worth protecting, an asset worth nurturing, realizing that if we do not do that, we may not have sustainability. If the fisherman does not see the ocean as an asset, he will keep on fishing and fishing, and possibly, if he can, vacuuming whatever is available within the ocean or within the rivers, forgetting that there will be a tomorrow. And no serious economy destroys the core assets. Rather, it expects to grow it. And for us, we must manage the ocean, our waters in that way. No serious economy destroys its core assets and expects to grow. So there is something very important in this thinking that we must have. For us at the Blue Economy Academy, our approach is very simple. We are very functional. Functional in the sense that all that we share, all that we communicate is essentially around the context of knowledge that people can use. That's it. If you want to learn about the blue economy in a functional way that you can apply intelligently, that is the kind of thinking that we need now more than ever before, so that everyone can play in that space. And that's why we have industry fellows who are essentially practitioners, not academics alone, real operators teaching real systems. Nigerians must know what it means to be surrounded by water. Lagosians in particular must know what it means, for those of us who are in Lagos, to be surrounded by water. That the water itself is not a dumping site. And then we also believe that there must be cross-sectoral learning. Lawyers, bankers, engineers, policymakers, all in the same room, learning from the same system. All of us must come in and interrelate so that we find where the ocean connects to our respective spaces. And then by using case-based learning, take, for example, the Lekki ports, the Eto app that has helped in managing access to our ports here in Lagos, and of course, a good number of the other activities within the system, we can begin to apply blue economy much more intentionally. So the blue economy is too important to be left only to maritime professionals. Now, I hope that does not sound too controversial. It is not in any way meant to be a dig at maritime professionals. No, it is based on the principle that the sea affects us all. The sea affects us all. Because in the blue economy, you're going to need to capitalize that space. We can do with and benefit from the knowledge of financial professionals. One month ago, I had a meeting with the former DG of the Nigerian Stock Exchange, Oscar Onyema. We're at a business event. And I said to him, look, you've got to begin to think blue as well. You've got to begin to think in terms of blue economy. You understand financial operations, financial architecture so well, and that you build various instruments. We must begin to think of how to engage that knowledge that you have in your field and connect it to the blue space. And he said, yes, that's a possibility. It's something you'll be glad to be a part of. We have to begin to invite others from other sectors, from other fields, asking them, how can your knowledge, how can your expertise practically connect with our waters?
So, please, can you wrap up so we can...
Okay, let me try to wrap up. Let me see if I can quickly get to the slides that takes care of okay. So let's quickly touch on education, and I'll wrap up with this because of time. As I mentioned earlier on, the real problem, the major obstacle is sea blindness. If you can't see it, it will not matter the opportunities and the resources at your disposal. You will never be able to invest in it. And so, as I wrap up, these are my 3 recommendations to ensure that we can address the educational leg of sustainability in the blue economy. First, ocean literacy. We all must understand and take the ocean as an economic asset. Whether we're students, professionals, policymakers, there is definitely ignorance lacking as it relates to the ocean across all these demographics. More than ever before, secondly, we must strengthen technical competence. And this is really where the core maritime focus comes into play. Port operators, marine engineers, fisheries must train people who can actually run these systems. And part of it is to encourage those who are in other sectors to take an interest, to begin to develop career paths along this line. And then thirdly, at the executive level, there must be understanding. So we must train leaders, regulators who make policies, leaders who will occupy positions, decision makers, to understand that the blue economy requires leadership, but for that leadership to take place, there must be understanding. So we celebrate on water, but after the celebration, we leave it polluted. This is another case in point as to how we treat our waters. And we do so because we do not yet see the ocean, our waters, as assets. Until that changes, it will continue. And in the end, our oceans, our waters will not be as sustainable as they ought to be. So I leave you with these final thoughts. As I mentioned earlier, it is innovation that builds systems. Education builds people. And there's education for everyone as far as the blue economy is concerned. At the Blue Economy Academy, our mandate is simple: eliminate sea blindness, build competence, and position Nigeria to truly prosper by water. In the end, the ocean is the asset. Our waters collectively constitutes the asset. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Ubong. I know that we're actually constrained with time, and we know we have a lot that you want to talk about. Sabit, we have actually enjoyed your presentation. I'm sure that everyone would agree to that. A quick wrap onto what Mr. Ubong has shared with us from his sea blindness to ocean wealth presentation. He started by saying that that Nigeria has no wealth despite having the potentials of the marine and blue economy industry. So we have not achieved much from our our maritime resources. He also mentioned that our biggest challenge has been that people see water as scenery. They just see it as what they see. They get used to it because we are blessed with a vast amount of maritime resources, but we have not seen it as an infrastructure, something we can use to build wealth. They mentioned that policymakers see sectors and not systems, and I think that most of us who have been here and have also been in the maritime industry long enough can attest to that we're seeing systems. We have not actually identified that it's a sector that has to be harnessed. He has also mentioned that ocean assets are not backdrops. They're not just things that you just walk in and walk out from. They are infrastructure, they have energy base, they are our energy base, and they are also climate climate regulators. And that's true because wherever you see water, it kind of regulates the economy. Obikwelu, Michael, please can you close your video? Please, can you close your video? It's distracting. Thank you. Then knowledge you can use. It's important. The knowledge you can use. Industry fellow, real operators and real systems, and not academias only. Also mentioned that there are the importance of having cross-sector learning and interactions, applied intelligence, and this is he also mentioned ocean literacy, the need for ocean literacy, technical competence, and executive understanding of what the industry is all about. And this is one of the quotes that he has that is quite interesting. He said, "We cannot import system and export responsibility." I think we should take that. I think the person who is going to give the rapporteur should have this also written down, aside from the one that we have also received from Mr. William. Then, without further ado, once again, we say thank you very much, Mr. Obong SM. Please stay on the call because we'll have our Q&A session, and that's why we want us to wrap up this session real quick. But very quickly, I'm going to introduce the next facilitator and the panelist for tonight's conversation. She's no other than Dr. Chizoba Anyika, the Deputy Director at the Nigerian Maritime Administration and Safety Agency, Dr. Mrs. Chizoba Anyika. Christina Anyika is the Chairperson, Board of Trustees of the Women in Maritime and Energy Awards, and the Vice President, Sectors, Women in Energy, Oil and Gas. She provides strategic leadership in advancing professional excellence, sector collaboration, and empowerment of women across maritime, energy, and allied industries. She serves as the Vice President of Nigerian Institute of Shipping and is the erstwhile Secretary of the Women's International Shipping and Trading Association, Vista Nigeria, where she played a key role in strengthening professional engagement and advancing women's participation in maritime and shipping industry. She is a Deputy Director at NIMASA and the Foundation Staff of Cabotage Regime with extensive experience in maritime regulation, compliance, indigenous content development, and stakeholder engagement. She is an active member of the Nigerian Content Development Monitoring Board, Nigerian Content Consultative Forum, Shipping and Logistics Sector Working Group, where she heads the Vessel Auditing Subcommittee, contributing to initiatives that strengthen local content compliance, indigenous participation, and operational standards within Nigeria's maritime and energy logistics value chain. In her role as the National Publicity Secretary of the Chartered Institute of Transport Administration, Nigeria, she chairs the Media and Publicity Subcommittee, leading strategic communication and stakeholder engagement initiatives that enhance professional visibility and institutional outreach. Dr. Anyika is recognized as a speaker and panelist at high-level industry engagements such as this, and where she contributes thought leadership on maritime development, logistics, energy sustainability, and women's leadership, academic research, and professional interest in marine tourism sector, and her PhD focus reflects her strong commitment to marine tourism as a viable pathway for economic diversification and sustainable development in the Nigerian blue economy. And she's the anchor of Blue Horizon podcast. Ladies and gentlemen, please let's welcome Dr. Anyika. Dr. Anyika, you have, we yield the mic to you. I say a very big welcome to you. Okay, please take it away. 15 minutes.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you. As a moderator, the DJ of Chamber of Shipping, thank you very much for having me. I actually want to appreciate the convener of this platform, Honorable Laito, for inviting me to lend my voice to the conversation. I'm deeply honored to speak on the subject that is no longer optional for our survival and prosperity, that is ocean sustainability. I'll be talking on coastal tourism as a nexus for advancing a sustainable blue economy. Felicia, okay, good, thank you. Sustainable use of ocean, that is the blue economy. A lot of people have, a lot of my colleagues have spoken on on sustainability and blue economy opportunities. My focus will be on marine tourism, that is ocean tourism. Oceans drive the blue economy, yes. You call it blue economy, you call it the ocean economy, they're all the same. So what do we mean when we say sustainability and ocean as coastal tourism? Coastal regions are economic and cultural hubs, but I don't know whether in Nigeria, whether we understand that. Sorry about my voice. I'm a little bit under the weather. What do we mean when we talk about coastal regions? Coastal regions are cities that are surrounded by water, cities that live in water. Lagos is an example. So tourism is one of the fastest growing ocean sectors. However, we are not really taking part. It's a global resource. A lot of economies are diversifying their economies through development of this sector. Can we go to the next slide? Thank you. At this point in Nigeria, we're at a critical intersection where we need to begin to look at ways to conserve our ocean resources, the maritime sustainability and policy reforms that will have to work together to secure the future of our oceans, and by extension our economies. It's high time we stop working in silos, just like the previous speaker said. Let's look at ocean as an economic lifeline. The ocean supports fisheries, food security, shipping, global trade routes, coastal tourism, hospitality, energy resources, all offshore activities, including oil and gas. Emerging opportunities are also there, but are we really tapping? The question is, are we really tapping into the opportunities? Are we? The marine biodiversity is there, and renewable energy is there. The challenge is that we are extracting from the ocean faster than we are, restoring it. Let's go to the next slide. Now, when you talk about coastal tourism, you talk about beach tourism, cruise tourism, ecotourism, cultural and marine-based experiences. Then you need to talk about how we will protect it for sustainability and how we benefit from the resources of the ocean. Now, when you look at our Nigeria, okay, let's start from Africa, where we have teeming youths who are unemployed. Even some that are employed are not profitably employed. There are two great differences when somebody is employed and when someone is profitably employed. The economic value is there. It creates jobs. I'm talking about sustainable, profitable employment. We are at the core of the blue economy, that is harnessing the ocean benefits and coastal resources for economic growth and improve livelihood for our youth. Job creation cannot overemphasize the importance of developing this sector while preserving the health of our marine ecosystems. Within this framework, let's look at the coastal tourism as one of the most powerful and visible entry points. When we talk about unemployment, when we talk about insecurity, what are we doing about developing and diversifying our economy away from crude, away from oil, away from energy? Now, you may ask, why coastal tourism? Coastal tourism is a strategic nexus. It connects economies, it connects environment, it connects communities. It's, growth must protect the system. That's what we're talking about sustainability. Coastal tourism contributes significantly to national GDP, particularly in developing coastal states. Lagos and Akwa Ibom, talk about Bayelsa, River State. Just name all these littoral states that we have in Nigeria. They ought to be better developed more than they are if we can harness the opportunities within our oceans. It creates marine tourism, that is ocean tourism, creates jobs, like I said earlier.
across hospitality business, transport business, fisheries, recreation, creative industries, but beyond economic, it shapes identity. If the Delta people can develop their ocean tourism, do you know the number of people that come globally to tap from the benefits? That when you develop ocean tourism, it preserves your heritage and connects people to the ocean in ways that inspire sustainability. It's very important that we begin to critically look at the ways that we can develop this sector. Very important, especially when it comes to the benefit. Sustainability. The central question we must, that is confronting us: can coastal towns continue to grow without destroying the very ecosystems that it depends on? Please go to the previous slide. Yes, the ecosystem. The previous one, please. How do we protect our ecosystems? Please, can you go to the previous slide? Thank you. We must begin to think of how to reduce waste, responsible tourism practices, and we have to start deliberate, intentional education of all the community members. It is very important. If we think that ocean economy is important to the country, we must begin to think of how to deliberately and intentionally educate the communities, how to dispose of their waste, because it starts from the home. A sustainable blue economy demands that coastal tourism be developed through 3 interconnected pillars. So let us begin to look at ways that will begin to build this sector in a sustainable manner. Can we go to the next slide? Thank you. Marine tourism as a diversification tool. When you talk about jobs, communities, all these people that go on the creek to kidnap oil workers, energy people, the unrest that is happening in all the riverine areas. When we develop coastal tourism, I can bet you that it will be reduced. When we begin to look at ways we can develop the sector and attract foreign investment, global visitors will put us in the map, especially now that we have social media. We can begin to improve the small SMEs, local economies will grow, those that depend on healthy marine environment. We must protect our mangroves, our coral systems, the beaches, the marine biodiversity. Actually, if we must think about ocean tourism, we must it must work hand in hand with marine conservation and adoption of eco-friendly infrastructure in coastal destinations. I have mentioned Akwa Ibom. Akwa Ibom State, I don't know if you have ever visited Akwa Ibom. It's a very clean coastal state that if we will be intentional about developing the sector, this town, this coastal city town, is going to attract people from global visitors. Inclusive economic development. Coastal tourism must benefit local communities and not marginalize them. The way that oil and gas has already marginalized some of the communities where this crude is extracted. Small-scale fishermen and artisans must be carried along. Develop them. Because they know the nook and cranny of the sector. So you can teach them, train them. Capacity development is very important to train them as tour guides and transport operators. The value chain must include communities that are located, in these areas, to use them as tourism models. And it's very essential that we conserve the environment while we're talking about developing ocean tourism. The wealth generated must remain in the communities. I had earlier worked, before I joined the maritime sector, I worked in the energy sector where we're working as a third party, the confliction organization to, deal with communities where they have cotton channels. And I saw, firsthand what happens in communities like Awoba community when they are displaced, where communities agitate for things that are supposed to be for them. Then I came into the maritime sector and I'm seeing everybody's talking about other things that are shouldn't even, policies that are coming up without really intentional, strategies to develop those policies in order to benefit even the people at the grassroots. We must begin to be intentional about building, if we have to build sustainable prosperity, for everyone, even the elites and the ones that are coming up for the future. We must begin to develop institutional policy coherence. It's not working in silos. This working in silos is disrupting a lot of things. Can we go to the next slide? Thank you. The challenges: coastal erosion, marine pollution, lack of infrastructure, policy enforcement gaps, climate risk, rising sea levels, and eroding sub. These are the challenges we'll have, which is also happening in other climes. We're not, we're not just a different country, because what I'm saying is, if we have to be, intentional in what we're doing, no sustainable coastal tourism can exist without, strong governance. Strong governance means that relative organizations must begin to collaborate. We need integrated coastal zone management, cross-sector collaboration, very important. And, between transport, environment, tourism, maritime authorities, and, long-term investment frameworks needs to be developed. And this, we need to prioritize sustainability over short-term gain. Because it's very obvious that in this our generation, we are always thinking about short-term gain. The coastline is not just a destination; it is a living system where if we degrade it, it's going to stare us in the face, which is happening around the oil and gas sector where they are doing offshore explorations. But if we are intentional and strategic about developing it for the livelihood and seeing it for what it is, we must invest wisely. Coastal tourism becomes more than leisure. It will become a catalyst, for innovation in marine transport, in renewable energy, in adoption of waste management systems, in climate adaptation strategies, because when you talk about climate risk, IMO, like International Maritime Organization, keeps bringing out conventions, laws to, guide everyone. But are we advocating for that from the grassroots, educating the community members, NGOs? Are they being empowered? How many of these organizations are, supporting the NGOs who have, taking it in their own shoulders to go to the interior villages to talk to them about, don't drop your waste here, don't drop your plastic here, don't, to mitigate all the challenges that we're having. Let's go to the next slide. Thank you. Now, if we must begin to talk about integrated blue economy and sustainability model, are we looking at the conservation that protects our ecosystem? Are we looking at maritime sustainability, transport industries, policy that ensures long-term, like I said earlier, governance, and things that we should do to enable economic diversification? This is not just mere talk. We are staring at a very critical aspect of our sector that can generate employment for our teeming youth. But are we taking advantage of that? Let us also recognize the role of technology, digital platforms that can improve visitor management when we develop ocean tourism. If we have overcrowding, how do we deal with it? We have the teaming youth to be empowered, teach them, develop them, train them, human capacity development, develop digital platforms, let them develop drones that can, give them firsthand, real-time information, especially in fragile ecosystems, things that will promote responsible tourism practices. You will have to teach the youth, train them in data-driven planning, which can help to balance the visitor experience with environmental protection. Well, I believe that. Can we go to the next slide?
Yes, Dr. please see if you can wrap up so we can go to the next section. Thank you.
Okay, I think I'm sounding emotional because ocean tourism is something that I don't know if we're just like pouring water in the rock, but we'll have to continue to advocate. Finally, I must emphasize the importance of education. I must re-emphasize the importance of education and awareness. A sustainable blue economy cannot be built by policymakers alone. It requires informed citizens who will be responsible tourists, who will be, tour guides, who will, it requires that we empower the youth and, engage coastal communities. In closing, let us reimagine a coastal tourism not as an extractive industry, but as a regenerative force, one that restores ecosystems, uplifts communities, and strengthens economies. If we get this right, our coastlines will not only remain places of beauty and recreation, but actually be a powerful engine of sustainable prosperity. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Fantastic. Thank you so very much, Dr. Ika. For quite some time, and we truly appreciate your presentation, which was quite in-depth from the coastal tourism perspective. And these are the things, some of the salient points that were highlighted from your presentation. That we have coastal tourism, the importance of coastal tourism. You mentioned beach tourism, cruises, and eco tourism. I also mentioned the need for cultural and marine-based experiences. The economic values, you mentioned job creation across the sectors, and foreign alliances, and coastal tourism promotes economy, like you said, environment, and communities. You also mentioned that the community, it has a lot to impact the communities that you're talking about now. You're talking about the local communities, the grassroots level. It can, give opportunities for youth employment, women empowerment, of course, and then cultural presentation, and it can reduce reduction. And while you were mentioning this point, it reminded me of what is currently happening in Tanzania. I don't know if many of us have visited Tanzania. There's nothing much. It's just that highlight where you have this young, youths jumping into the ocean, or is it the river, or whatever it is called, from the bridge. They just say, welcome to, I think it's Zanzibar. Yes. I think they says, welcome to Zanzibar, and then they put this thing. That alone, you have a lot of influencers who have visited Zanzibar have that experience alone, and I'm sure it's not for free. I haven't been there, but I feel that alone, that particular video alone, and that particular act of acrobatics alone has put Zanzibar on the map, and then some people will look at it and want to visit Zanzibar just to have that same experience. The marketing is also emotional, so you can always speak to the mind of someone to sell your product. Then sustainability, you mentioned marine ecosystem protection, climate conservation, development, waste and reduction responsibility for all. And I totally agree with you on this. I think one of the challenges we have as a coastal industry, a maritime nation is that we do not value, and this is what the three speakers have agreed tonight, that we do not value our marine ecosystem. We don't value it. Honestly, Nigeria has one of the dirtiest water I have seen, and there might be worse other places. And climate change is a conversation that is on the table of so many organizations, so many structures, and so many systems. And we cannot overemphasize the importance of climate conservation. And truly, the water is also affected. I hope we all know, that water can be affected by, poor management, and it does not. It also impacts the climate change. So, I think three things I highlighted that the three speakers have all agreed and highlighted these very important points. Sustainability is healthy ocean. Infrastructure development is critical. Strengthening maritime governance, you cannot overemphasize that. Yes, one thing I took away also that is very important, I think that the rapporteur should actually highlight this, is that other state actors, especially NGOs, one of the things that we have seen and we have experienced as a challenge in our country is that most times NGOs are seen as people who beg for money. Maybe we want to redefine what the roles of NGOs are as state actors in the growth and development of the economy. Maybe that will help to redefine, the perspective that the narrative that have been circling around NGOs. So NGOs were identified in your presentation as major state actors to support regulatory agencies. Ladies and gentlemen, we have heard from our three speakers very insightful, very deep, and very interesting conversations. I would have loved to ask them questions. I had three questions for each person, but I will not ask any question. So right now, I'm going to give just 2 minutes for the participants to identify if they're going to ask questions. And you can do that by raising up your hand, please, so that we can go back to asking them questions. So please, if you have any question, raise up your hand or type it, and I'm going to read it out very quickly. Any question, just go straight to the point, please. If you're given an opportunity to speak, okay, we have Ocean Ambassador, we have Felicia James. Who else? Who else? Before I go to my own questions, at least I'm going to ask them one more because of the time. So any other person? Felicia, I will yield the floor to you. Ladies first, they say, and also because I'm just gender sensitive. Okay, Derry is here, but Derry will come after Ocean Ambassadors Foundation. But may I ask, if Ocean Ambassadors Foundation, I know there are two accounts here. Is it Honorable Olaito Williams? If she's the one, then let her go ahead and speak. Otherwise, Felicia will take the floor. Oh, very good. So, Honorable, please take the floor. Felicia, you take the next turn. Thank you.
Thank you very much. My question goes to Mr. Williams. Is he there? Or has he left? Mr. Williams or William? Okay,
I am here.
He is.
You see, over the years, people keep talking of overlapping functions of the various agencies. And this slows down sustainability. How can we get out of this? Because you see, if we do not define each agency's definite roles, we'll still be going back to Stone Age. And we don't need it. So you as an agency, what is the solution? What is the way out? Thank you.
Do I answer that immediately? Okay, let me just answer that quickly. As I mentioned in the presentation, and I think what is actually happening, we have different agencies, particularly when it comes to the ocean matters. Then Federal Department of Fisheries was under Ministry of Agric, biodiversity is under Ministry of Environment, and so many things. And even there are some functions under NIMASA that are overlapping with other agencies. But as I mentioned, one thing that we have done as a nation is by creating the Marine and Blue Economy, Federal Ministry of Marine and Blue Economy, which has now brought most of the sectors or organizations under its wing, and effort has been in place now to actually delineate and separate some of these overlapping functions, because they are now under a different, under the same ministry, and efforts are now in place to make sure that things are done the right way. Before, as I mentioned, fisheries was under agri, NIMASA is under safety, and so on. Although most of these agencies cooperated so well, but being that we now have a ministry that is actually seeing the issue of blue economy, sustainability, and even ocean matters that has now been established, I think that is going to be a thing of the past. And you can see it's as a result of it that we've now been able to come with a policy document between 2025 and 2030. Within this policy, you see highlights of activities to be done and then some specific actions that need to be taken in order to take the blue economy forward. So efforts are on. It may be slow, but this is a policy. This is a right direction we're going. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Williams. Felicia, you're next.
All right, thank you very much, ma'am. Thank you very much to all the guest speaker and the facilitators. The section was really insightful and I learned a lot. I just want to ask, I'll just say my two questions and anybody can answer. Okay, my first question is, what is one practical action individuals can take to support ocean sustainability from where they are? Then my next question is, how can coastal tourism grow without putting additional pressure on marine ecosystem? You know that coastal tourism has to do with construction of, you have to construct houses, also, you have to, yes, recreational activities and all that. How can this coastal tourism grow without putting pressure on the marine ecosystem? That's my second question.
Okay, so we'll take that. Dr. Anyika, please, can you respond to Felicia's question? Thank you.
If I got your question right, you need to ask them, how do we take care of the coastal environment while we're developing the ocean tourism? Is that the question? I didn't get it right.
Yeah, the question is, how can coastal tourism grow without putting additional pressure on marine ecosystem?
Okay. Thank you very much for that question. When you talk about sustainability, that is growing ocean tourism without putting additional pressure on the marine ecosystem, it will begin from education. We must begin to be very particular about how we throw our waste in order not to degenerate, degrade the environment, how to maintain the mangroves, the biodiversity, and everything starts from the community level. Communities must begin to learn what it takes to, sustain the economy, the ocean, the economy. We must be deliberate in teaching them not to overfish, not to throw their plastics, not to do things, not to pull out the mangroves, the things that will create erosions, all that and all that, everything that we need to do. And then, if we must make a place to be attractive for global visitors, we must also teach them about security, because we're dealing with insecurity in the country at the moment. So all hands will need to be on deck. The relevant authorities must begin to enforce the laws. Enforcement is very important, and deliberate regulations It's not, it needs to be monitored. One thing is about making laws and policies. Another thing is about enforcing them and monitoring, monitoring the execution of all those laws. So that is it. Everyone from the communities to the policymakers must begin to understand what it takes to diversify the economy through ocean economy, and then how to sustain it. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Ika.
Can I have,
okay,
can I have a quick go? Can I have a quick go?
Okay, yes. Please.
I have a quotation which I want to state here, that ignorance is a disease. It is knowledge that will cure it. Mr. Ubong has mentioned clearly the importance of education and enlightenment and awareness. One action that individuals need to take is to seek for more knowledge. You must become ocean ambassadors, and you must be ocean literate. An ocean literate person is somebody who is well informed about the ocean and can take deliberate action as to mitigate or to actually do things to sustain it. You must understand it, and that comes from education. The second one is about coastal tourism. Tourism has many areas. Before, everybody is just developing, but there's something we now call ecotourism. There is also what is called marine spatial planning. Before this can be put in place, where you will plan the areas for tourism and for other purposes. So you will put in place areas that are, you will put in place areas that are not supposed to be touched, or that are sensitive, or that will affect other areas. And then within that space, there is enough knowledge to be shared with people that when you go to a mangrove area as a tourist, there must be enough education for you to know the importance of mangrove. To go to an area that is a creek, which is for breeding fishes, you must understand. An area that you want to exploit oil, you must understand that, okay, within this area, there are some other animals like bivalves and other organisms that are there that are more sensitive to that ecosystem, that when you affect or destroy it, it will completely jeopardize that ecosystem. So these are some of the things that we need to do, but knowledge is very important, and it is what can cure our ignorance. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. William. Derry, please, over to you.
All right. Thank you
We're
very
going to
much,
stop
Ma.
taking questions after Mr. IK. I can't pronounce that name very well.
All right. Thank you very much, Ma, for the opportunity.
Ahead.
And I would like to say that I've listened to all the speakers and I've learned a lot. But my question, and they've answered some of the questions I've had. But one question I'm having is this: most of these places, okay, in respect to the preservation of our ocean environment or economy, we've noticed that these rural areas, that's where we have the dirtiest waters and all that. So how do we reach across to these people? Because when we have seminars like this, it is some people that know a little about the ocean economy that we are speaking to. How do we reach out to the rural areas that these things that they do, the pouring of dirt into the water, the oil spilling, all of those, how do we reach out to them and tell them, okay, there's a better way to handle these things? That's one. And two, we've seen from history, right, that these rural communities barely have benefits from when they harvest from their areas. What am I trying to say? Like when we have, speaking on the oil and gas, right? We have some of these people that they generate so much oil, but yet if you look at the states or the areas exactly where these oils come from, they are in a very terrible state. So which agency is to address that? Oh, okay, if we want to even start a proper tourism or building a better marine economy, what agency will be in charge of that? And also ensuring that the people that are like say manning these areas are also beneficiaries of that. Because where they are not beneficiaries of it, they will find it hard to have well, like say love for the for what we're
Sorry,
trying to
I get your
achieve.
question.
And
It's okay. We get it. Thank you
Oh.
very much. Yes.
All right.
Yes. Ocean sustainability. That would be Ms. Dr. William.
Okay. In terms of community, as I said, no, first thing, or one thing you need to understand is that the waste you are talking about, majority are not generated by this community. Because the ocean is one and is interconnected, many of it are from they are from land-based sources. Even there are confirmed evidence that says that about 90% of ocean pollution are from land-based sources. So if you go to many of the beaches now, you will just see a lot of plastic floating. This plastic may be something that has been thrown away in Ghana or thrown away in Kano, and that follows the water to those communities and those areas. So the community need to be informed, and everybody, because we are all connected to this ocean. I think IOI did something in 2025. We went to Kano to do ocean literacy. A lot of people came there as skeptics that NGO have just come and spend the money. But unfortunately, we have very good audience, state representation, where we were able to prove to them that Kano economy is dependent on the ocean. Kano activities can also affect the ocean. Whether you are in the desert or you are in the Arctic Ocean or anywhere, you are connected to the ocean because the oxygen that you breathe is from there. The carbon dioxide is taken. The water that you are doing, which is hydrological cycle of the world, is determined by the ocean. And the ocean itself, because it's the only planet that has the highest biodiversity in the world. So whatever you do, so this information is not only for the communities, it's for everybody. Your second question, I think I can't remember that.
Yes, she was talking about mining and management. I think it's basically management of waste.
Management of waste is a general problem, as I mentioned, and most of the waste comes from land. If we are looking at ocean now, but most of it came from land. But one thing I know that is being done, particularly, let's take plastic as an example, is that we are now doing what is called recycling. Although it may not be so effective, but it's reducing the quantity of what is now going to the environment. Before, plastics, we consider it as waste, and that's why we throw it away. But now there are some companies coming up that is now the raw materials, and this raw material is now becoming a source of wealth for people. I know there are dumping places where you can just go. When you get there, they weigh your plastic waste and they pay you immediately. They transfer the money to you. So what we consider as waste has now become a source of wealth. So now that if you go to party now, all your Coca-Cola bottle and everything will disappear in less than 30 minutes. But you can now even see some people now, there are all these pickers that are now even going into dustbins, into the one that is already in the environment because there is money there. So these are some of the knowledge, these are some of the information that we need to be passing across to them. Instead of linear economy, we should not be going to a circular economy to be able to recycle, reduce, and reuse some of these things, some of our waste. And it is knowledge that is also going to be this. And part of the knowledge, very key, is attitudinal, our attitudes. We need to also, as we are preaching ocean literacy, attitudinal change as regard stewardship in terms of pollution, in terms of any governance issues, are also preached to people in order for them to be able to become responsible stewards for the ocean. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. William. We're going to take the last question. Theophilus Ige. Theophilus,
thank you very much. Thank you very much. And I want to appreciate everyone that has contributed to this webinar. We really captured a lot, like on personal notes. But I have two questions. My first question is, sir, Dr. I think that's going to go to Dr. Akobi. Sir, or Dr. William, sorry. Sir, concerning ocean governance, you talked about ocean governance, and my first question is concerning the increasing statistics of illegal transshipments and notable increasing illegal shipping practices around like in the industry. So how do you think they affect the industry's productivity? And my second question is, anybody can answer my second question. And my second question is, if human capital is a major factor for ocean sustainability, so what can be the bridge to between new or emerging professionals seeking to get into the industry? Thank you.
Okay. Dr. William, you take the first one, and then Mr. Essien will take the second one.
Okay. Concerning IUU is a big issue in the ocean governance system. Illegal, unreported, and unregulated fisheries is really affecting destroying the ecosystem by taking the resources without accounting for what is taken off, what is taken out. Two, is also undermining the economic system of any country or any organization. Because if you paid to get a license to be fishing, and there is somebody who will just come and take that resources without one you pay licenses and you are following the rules and regulation, but there's somebody else who is just taking the resources without the accountability. This will be losing a lot of money and a lot of resources through this aspect. But one thing that I know particularly, which is very particular to Nigeria, is that the issue of vessels coming into Nigeria to take our resources, I think I stand to be corrected. We don't really have much as an issue, because at our national level, we have the Navy that is very active. I think President Buhari was able to empower them very well. They have what is called total radar system. We don't really have much of foreign agreement with many of the fishing companies, countries that are going into other West African countries. And there are so many other aspects. But one area that you mentioned is transshipment. Transshipment means that they are taking some of this fish, or some of the resources are being transshipped into smaller boat or other areas, and is not getting it's not being captured. Now, what that one does is that there's something we call fish stock assessment. Fish stock assessment is based on what you are estimating what is taken out of an environment. Now, if you do not know what is taken, you will not be able to make a proper decision. This transshipment is not a problem only to Nigeria. In Nigeria, we call it Yama business. In Ghana, they call it psycho business. These are issues now that we really need to tackle. There are so many options that we are projecting or proposing, but these are some of the issues that are really relating to IUU. There may be one or two incidences of vessels coming in here and there, but to me, the impact on the resources itself through transshipment, unrecorded information, is the problem. Also, there are two sectors in fisheries, which is artisanal and industrial. Industrial are well regulated, perfect. They have a very good system. But the artisanal, we really need to really do a lot of things on them too, because there are some possibly unregulated fishing practices that are going on there, because some of them are using undermanned sizes. And I think there are some now that are even using the pair trolling. I just heard of that. But these are issues that we need to look into. First, we need to confirm them. The issue of undermanned sizes is an issue, but we need to develop a regulation to actually capture that. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. William. Mr. Essien, second part of the question on human capital. Mr. Essien, are you still with us? Mr. Essien? Okay. All right. So, Theophilus, your question again. Did you say something about building the next generation? Capital development. Can you ask that question again?
Okay, all right, but I said if human capital is a major factor for ocean sustainability, what is the bridge that can help link between the new generation, like new and emerging professionals, into the
Yeah.
industry?
Yes. Okay. Very
Well,
good. Thank you. I think I can speak to that.
can I come
I
in?
think it's important.
Oh, okay, sorry. Go
Yes.
ahead.
I think it's important that we also identify first that there's a next generation and that information awareness is it's important that we create them. Important to create that. First, identify that Nigeria is a maritime nation. There are a lot of potentials, and we see that one of the things, just like Ocean Ambassadors Foundation, what they're doing now, or what she's been doing in the past few years, is to bring this awareness, and she's taken it to almost the lowest level, which is the secondary school. I'm sure she's also exploring the opportunities of reaching out to those in primary school, because it's in primary school now. When I had an opportunity to visit the Commonwealth offices, and it was on climate change, and I was gifted books on ocean, um, carbon, climate change, and how it affects the ocean, right? And these were books they were like animated books. These are books that kids in primary school, in secondary school, primary school especially, could relate to. So it has to be an intentional, move to reach out to the next generation. So we need to start looking at, when we say catch them young, we shouldn't end with just the secondary school. It is from the primary school. These are formative stages of which children are brought into the consciousness of the environment they find themselves, what their country is all about, so that they can speak to it, even at the primary level. And so they graduate from there, and then you start picking their interest from that stage and that age, and they're taking decisions. So remember, in primary school, you ask a child in primary school, can tell you, I want to be a doctor, I want to be a lawyer, I want to be an accountant, years ago. Now, if we want to see a child who will say, and sometimes the only knowledge of the children is that they want to be pirates, or they want to be Moana, or want to be the Little Mermaid from Nigerian primary school, yeah, because that is what is projected to them through television. But now we want to see kids who said, I want to be a captain, I want to, tour the world, sailing and all that, I want to be a maritime lawyer. The details will be in the information they receive at early stages. So, speaking as as a human capital experts, it's important that we start speaking to the kids, or speaking to the next generation from that formative stage, so that their minds are formed towards what they want to become. And then when we're having conversations such as this, it's not only to bring the people in the secondary school or universities in the room, those in the secondary school, even in the primary schools. So there's a whole lot that needs to be done. And then another point which was raised by Dr. Anyika is that there are state actors, there are people who are doing these things but are not getting the support. Sometimes they are seen as people who are beggarly, who are coming to ask you for funding. But the truth is that most times these courses are not actualized except they are funded. So you need to give them that funding. So for instance, if you want to print out 1,000 books about ocean governance, you want to print out 1,000 books or 5,000 books, and they want to send it to primary school, maybe 3-5 pages, something that they can relate to, that's not too cumbersome. It needs funding. And if somebody picks it up and said, oh, I want to do this and I need 500,000, 1 million, 3 million, 5 million, you'll be seen as not moving the project. So I think some of the things or the challenges we are also experiencing are the systems that have formed us or shaped us over the years, how they are kind of rigid and have not, feel almost impossible for them to be, flexible. So these are the things. So human capital, yes, but some of us also, some of us in this room came into the industry per chance. It's only a few that were deliberate about coming into the industry. You see that they have built a pathway that they have sustained over the years. So I hope this answers your question. So these are the ways that you can bring the next generation on board and also start sensitizing them for the future ahead. I think we have actually overshot our time by a very significant time, 20 minutes. And at this point, I want to once again say thank you very much to everyone, our guest speaker, our very distinguished and erudite panelists and the speaker. And also, once again, thank Honorable Lighton Williams for the opportunity that she's given me once again to identify and to moderate on the Oceans Ambassadors Foundation webinar. At this point, I would like to yield the mic to Oluwadamilola, and she takes the vote of thanks. Thank you very much, everyone.
Good evening, distinguished speakers, respected guests, and everyone joining us today. It is truly an honor to stand before you as we bring this impactful webinar on ocean sustainability in the blue economy to a close. So before I begin, I will say everyone should try and endeavor to put on their camera, and there's also a form in the chat box. So if you can endeavor to fill it up before we bring this into a close so we can celebrate everyone. We'd love to capture the moment and celebrate your presence here today. So I hope everyone heard me. So today has been more than a webinar, I would say. It has been a reminder that our oceans are not just vast bodies of water, right? They are living systems that actually sustain economies, communities, and our very future. Okay, I'll put on my camera as well. So we have heard powerful insights today. We have been reminded of the importance of strong ocean governance, because without structure, accountability, policy, sustainability remains just a conversation between us. So we have explored our innovation, we have explored how innovation and education are not optional, but they are necessary, because the future of the blue economy depends on how well we equip people with the right knowledge, because awareness is key to everything we've said. So we have to equip with knowledge and tools. And through the discussion on coastal tourism as well, we've seen that growth and sustainability can coexist. So if we choose to be intentional. So, but beyond all these sessions, one message stands out for me. The future of our oceans will not be shaped by what we know, but by what we do, by what we do with what we know. Like I copy that. I'll say that again. The future of our oceans will not be shaped by what we know, but by what we do with what we know. And that is knowledge. So now this conversation is very personal to me. As a second marine engineer, and I've worked at sea, I've seen operations up close, I've seen fuel being consumed, and I've seen inefficiencies that silently translate into environmental impact. So today, as a maritime data analyst, I work on transforming those same operations into insights, helping organizations make better, smarter, and more sustainable decisions. Through my work with the marine analytics, my mission is very simple: to bridge the gap between what happens at sea and the decision made on shore. So because when we begin to make data informed decisions, we don't just improve performance, we protect our oceans. And there was a Blue Economy conference I attended. It showed me that the blue economy is not just a concept, it is a space filled with real opportunities. Opportunities in maritime, logistics, sustainability, technology, fisheries, offshore energy, and so much more that we've said today here. But here is the truth: many of these opportunities are still untapped, especially in Nigeria. And that is where I want to speak from my heart for a moment, that to the young people listening today in this room, to the next generation of engineers, analysts, innovators, and also leaders, the blue economy is calling you. There's so much more beyond what we traditionally know. Like initially, for the past 5-10 years, the world is changing. You don't have to be on a ship to be part of this industry, this blue economy industry. You can come in through data, through technology, through environmental science, policy, logistics, innovation, so many much more that's been spoken today. The ocean is wide, and there's room for each one and every one of us. And as a role model with Ocean Ambassador Foundation, I see this as a responsibility to not just speak, but to guide, to open doors, and to show what is possible. because representation matters a lot. And when young people see someone who has walked the path, they begin to believe that they can walk it too. They have the confidence to walk through that path. And to Nigeria and Africa as a whole, we are sitting on a very big gold mine. Our coastlines, our ports, our waterways, mentioned coastlines, they're not just geographical features, right? They are economic assets that are waiting to be fully harnessed. Like we are just wasting a lot of opportunities. So the blue economy it has a lot of potential to create jobs, drive innovation, and transform our economies. But it requires what awareness, such as Ms. Vivian mentioned. It requires a lot of awareness, educations. It requires investment because you don't just say this is an opportunity without putting in the effort to invest. And most importantly, it requires people who are ready to step in and also to build the industry called the blue economy. So my message today is simple. Let us move from just conversation into action. Let us move from awareness into implementation. And let us raise a generation that really understand that the future of our ocean is in our hands, our bare hands. So before we conclude, a quick reminder that don't forget that we should fill up the form for attendance in the chat box as I mentioned earlier. And if you're able to, please turn on your cameras for our participation snapshots so that we can celebrate and capture the moments and celebrate every presence here. And now, as we come to the close of this impactful session, because I only have 5 minutes, I'm just trying to rush up. It is only right that we hear from the visionary herself to round up the program. Who made this platform possible? Thank you, Mommy, Mr. Violet, Olaiton Williams. Thank you for always standing and being a voice for me for the past 10 years. I really do appreciate that. You are a passionate leader and advocate whose commitment to ocean sustainability and youth empowerment, like it has continued to inspire many of us. And I really do appreciate your energy and your focus. And through this Ocean Ambassador Foundation, she has created a platform that brings people together, the younger ones, not just to talk, but to think, to connect, and to also act. So please join me as I warmly welcome my mommy here, Mrs. Violet Olaiton Williams, as she delivered the closing remarks. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Engineer Dami. I really appreciate you all the way from Canada. The time difference hasn't stopped you from giving us your insights, being the ambassador of Ocean Ambassadors for years. For the guest speaker, a very big thank you for your powerful presentation. For my moderator, how else? Who else can even do it? You're a faculty member now. So I say a very big thank you to you. My DG in so many places. I appreciate you. Oh, good evening, sir. The chairman of League of Mentors is here, Captain Tajuddin Alao. Good evening, sir. I really appreciate you. You are always with us. I'm sure you are nowhere near Lagos. I'm just assuming, but I know you will always be with us. Thank you, sir. Really appreciate you, sir. Dr. Garba from Kano, an educator, a passionate educator. He's always logging on to anything that has to do with Ocean Ambassadors. From all the people I can see from outside Nigeria and within Nigeria that have aligned with the oceans, you've heard it all. We're tired of rhetorics. Ocean Ambassadors Foundation has done a bit, but we need more hands. More hands to get it to where it's supposed to be impactful. Yes, the 28 states of the inland waterways, NIWA, we need to address the coastal inclusivity because actually that is their core calling. That is their function. But unfortunately, I don't know, but we'll keep talking. that the blue economy starts from the blue waters, but it ends in the coastal communities, because that is where the low-hanging fruits of the blue economy resides. And that is where we need NIWA to take over. When NIMASA does the safety aspect, when MPA does the port infrastructure and logistics, all other activities resides in the NIWA purview. Unfortunately, they're not here yet, but we will send the communique to the minister and all the appropriate agencies for them to have a look at it. The education must start from, like my DG said, from the basics, the grassroots, which NIWA, in their wisdom, does that. They always invite Ocean Ambassadors Foundation to help organize quizzes and debates at the grassroots level, that is the primary school level. Because you cannot compare a child in Lekki who sees aqua blue water to the child in Kirikiri who sees the water as blue-black, that slop and sludge has turned to black. We must have a unifying system that will let them know that the color of water is not black, and it is the foundation level, like my DG said. Intentional attitude is very key for the sustainability of the blue economy. That is one thing that we must take home today. We have to be intentional. The education aspect is very key. Without the education aspect, we can't talk about sustainability. There must be a succession planning. Like DG said, most people got into the maritime industry just by chance. That is why we're even having these overlapping functions. On this note, we want to say a very big thank you to everybody that partnered with us in this program, and we'll be inviting you by June to have our policy framework and sustainability on the Coastal Inclusivity Program. We'll keep you posted. And we say thank you very much for being part of this insightful discourse.
Thank you very much, everyone, once again.
Good night, everyone.
Good night. Thank you.
Good night. Thank you. Honorable, thank you. Good night, everyone. Good night.
Thank you very much, madam. I just wanted to mention that we also had on the call Mrs. Orisha Matoson Edodo.
Oh, okay.
And
Was she there? I didn't see.
Dabney Shalhoma.
Wow.
Left.
I
Yes,
didn't see them. Oh, these are the veterans that will take our communique to the minister and the relevant agencies. Thank you very much, Mrs. Shahuma. I didn't know you were there. Good evening, ma'am. Barrister Dodo.
Good evening, ma'am.
Thank you very much. I didn't see you earlier. I would have recognized you. Thank you very much. Sorry for that.
Good night, everyone. Good night.
Good night, ma'am. Good night, everybody.
Good night.